banks don't move. They're like the Titanic. They have so many constraints regulatorily, keeping their customers safe. They have so much to think about that for them to change how they do their underlying infrastructure really takes a lot, and it takes a time. This is a multi-decade, multi-century process. This isn't trying to win next year an IPO.
I'm very skeptic about current systems that are proof of work right now, just because I think we're on the cusp of quantum technology, and as soon as we get quantum, the whole proof of work systems can be mined almost instantaneously. So with that, that's going to create a price shock.
When people get educated on the benefits of tokenization, they'll realize that, first of all, liquidity is now unlocked. You're able to now port your shares either in whole or in part on a secondary market, which is very valuable and have been totally unusual for real estate, because before you couldn't sell your property on real estate unless the owner of the real estate sold the asset. Then you can get your money back. Yeah. Now you have the ability to sell it anytime you want.
Hey, what's going on, family and friends? In this video, I sit down with 3 key leaders who were in the room at Stellar House Miami during Art Basel. First up is David Crouch II, a young prodigy who's built an impressive empire without ever having to go to college. David breaks down his journey, winning philosophy, and where he sees opportunity emerging in this new era of on-chain finance. Next, I speak with Ed Nwokedi, CEO and founder of RedSwan Capital, one of the leading platforms in tokenized commercial real estate. Ed shared powerful insights on how tokenization is unlocking 24/7 liquidity, enabling global investor access, and bringing real estate into a truly digital marketplace. His take on secondary exchanges and expanding the total addressable market was spot on. And finally, we close with Jason Karsh, Stellar's Chief Marketing Officer. Jason lays out Stellar's mission with clarity, building an open and fair worldwide financial system underpinned by the XLM blockchain. With experience at Coinbase, Google, and other major tech firms, Jason breaks down exactly where Stellar is going next, and why the future of payments, asset issuance, and global financial access is being built right now. Jason also highlighted Stellar's newly announced partnership with US Bank, the 5th largest bank in the United States by assets under management, a powerful signal of who Stellar's building with and where the entire industry is heading. So without any further ado, let's roll the tape. Make sure you stick around until the end to watch my conversation with Stellar CMO Jason Karsh. Thanks for tuning in. Love you mucho. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here at the Stellar House Miami around Art Basel, and I've got David Crouch II, the CEO and Chief Investment Officer at, is it Décorous Imperium?
Décorous Imperium, that's right.
And what is Décorous Imperium? And, well, actually, first off, David, thanks for joining me today, sir. How you doing today?
Doing excellent. Yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm just coming off the heels of a red eye from SoCal, and you're my first interview, so excuse the turbulence.
No worries. Yeah, so Décorous Imperium is a defense private equity firm. We focus on critical supply chains, both here in the U.S. and internationally, to try and bring back our manufacturing apparatus here in the United States so we can get everything back up to speed, because we gave it all away basically to foreign countries, and now we lost out on that labor, we lost out on critical minerals, and we lost out on all that manufacturing to build things here.
Well, a little bit about my background. I worked for a secondaries exchange where we had some portfolio companies that were from the defense arena, Shield AI, and other companies as well, which I think are amazing technology and forward thinking about how they can protect some of these service workers that are out in the field clearing these houses before they put themselves in harm's way. So there's some really interesting tech that's coming down the pike that a lot of people don't realize. And even more about drones with Zipline, where they have at-home delivery for the last mile. Really great developments, partnerships with Walmart and other distributions that I think are going to really drive growth here in the United States. What are your thoughts, though? We're here at the Stellar House Miami, which is all about the XLM blockchain. What are your thoughts on the evolution and growth and forward trajectory of distributed ledger technology, blockchain, and in this intersection with traditional finance?
I mean, I think there's a lot of growth potential for crypto. I'm very skeptic about current systems that are proof of work right now, just because I think we're on the cusp of quantum technology, and as soon as we get quantum, the whole proof of work systems can be mined almost instantaneously. So with that, that's going to create a price shock in the market. You know, I come from an economics background. Once there's a price shock and all the supply is out there, it's going to be overabundance, so the price is going to go down.
Is that a blood in the streets moment?
It's a blood in the streets moment, but it's also a good sign, because then that's the time to actually buy, because then, there's not going to be any more. Now it actually has a limited quantity that's circulating the market.
It's interesting because proof of work is, for me, what's come center stage is Bitcoin. So are you thinking that potentially once quantum computing is introduced, that the outstanding amount of Bitcoin that has yet to be mined could be mined instantaneously? Or what about even if there was changes to the network that allowed for more issuance of Bitcoin itself? Could that even also occur?
See, I wouldn't be a fan of more issuance of Bitcoin. I think that kind of takes away from the whole premise of it and makes it less decentralized. Who's issuing it, right? That's what people are going to ask, and that's what's going to kind of throw off some confidence there at the same time. I do think that it would shock Bitcoin and drop it immediately, but I'm also very bearish on crypto as a whole right now, not because of the crypto technology itself, but because of how people behave when the markets fall. Because our stock market, as you see, is at 5x inflation right now on the valuations. The book to value ratios are all way off, so it's no values are worth it right now. We have aggregate inflation in the market that's just flooding everything, and people are still paying the price, but as you see, the market's kind of stalled. It's not going anywhere right now. But if the stock market loses, all the banks now are invested in crypto, as you know, every single one of them across the board, and they're probably a large holder of all these main institutional coins that people trade and use for everything. I think that the stable coins will fare all right. I think they'll still be able to produce their APY. But when the stock market falls and these big banks have to pay all their margin, their protocols are they sell off their most unregulated and their most risky products. And in this case, that happens to be crypto. So when they sell off because of a stock market, crypto is going to fall. And just because of behavioral economics, everybody else is going to decide to sell also just out of panic. So it'll be an initial fall because of what the banks are doing, and then it'll be a panic sell after that. But then after that, then there's a nice sweet spot that I think you guys can get involved. And I do believe in the technology for blockchain. I think there's a lot of applications for tokenizing critical minerals, proving reserves underground, Basel III compliance with it. I actually work a lot with that on the critical mineral side of tokenizing things like gold to be able to show bankable assets, providing bonds associated with that. There's a lot of different ways that people can use the blockchain technology for the critical minerals and supply chains, showing the unminted gold connected to a crypto, and then you mint the gold. Each gold that's minted at a refinery, you can show that with its respective crypto. So there's a lot of possibilities, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. When it comes to the young people, though, and getting involved, I think crypto is going to become more and more a part of their daily life, like with tap pay and things like that. I think the back-end systems are going to move to stable coins. I'm working with a bank right now. I can't state the name just yet, but they will be launching in February, and they're going to be 24/7. And so for those overnight transactions and 24/7 type stuff on the weekend, they'll be using stable coins to be able to balance their back end for their reserve requirements and all their other lending that goes into that. So I believe they'll be one of the first 24/7 banks in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the Stellar House Miami around Art Basel, and I've got Ed Nwokedi, the CEO of RedSwan. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
This is beautiful weather, huh?
I'm from SoCal, so it feels like I'm back at home.
Yeah, no, I've lived in SoCal, and I can relate. But it's much better than when I'm from Houston right now.
Oh, yeah.
And the weather in Houston's pretty cold, so I'm actually excited to be here.
Well, we're all excited that you're here because you're going to be speaking later today with the CBO, Raj of Stellar Foundation.
Correct.
What are you guys going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about the future of tokenization on real estate. That's our expertise. Also, our affiliation with Stellar. We just launched $100 million worth of business, real estate business on Stellar. So how we're going to do more, we're going to talk about that. And also some of the benefits we see with digital access to real estate.
And what kind of benefits are you seeing unlocked because of blockchain and these new rails?
Oh, tons of benefits. I mean, when people get educated on the benefits of tokenization, they'll realize that, first of all, liquidity is now unlocked. You're able to now port your shares either in whole or in part on a secondary market, which is very valuable and has been totally unusual for real estate because before you couldn't sell your property on real estate unless the owner of the real estate sold the asset, then you can get your money back. Yeah. Now you have the ability to sell it anytime you want. And I think it's also good to know that the market is a really interesting machine. You never know when somebody has a desperate need to buy what you have. And by opening up full exposure to the market, you might get a higher price than you might even imagine. Yeah. So I think it's just like the stock market. People have bid and ask, and this way you can actually have your real estate being disposed of by bid and ask.
What do you think is fundamentally needs to change for things to become as liquid as you're mentioning, for the asset to be fully on chain?
I think this just has to increase the amount of education with regards to digital asset exposure, but also more issuance, which is why our goal is to bring about $100 billion of assets on chain because now people see a variety of options that they can buy into. Some people may not be interested in office buildings. They might like apartment buildings, might like hotels. I think once you have all that variety and the different types of experience in terms of yield, that's going to start getting people's attention quite a bit.
I did eavesdrop on a conversation you were having over there, Ed. You are tokenizing not just land, but land that's generating yield. Do you mind expanding upon that if you're comfortable doing so?
Yeah, your partner there was talking about tokenizing land in Nicaragua, El Salvador, and other parts of the world. And that interests me because the very first thing you want to do before you tokenize a project is verify the ownership of the land. And in developing countries, that's usually a big problem because, different families own the land. You don't know who has clear title. So by having this partner, one, be able to tokenize the land, that takes care of most of the risk for us because now it's verifiable on chain. So now we can actually bring on investors who want to work on financing the vertical. And you can have many options in terms of that, where the landowners who already have bought into the land and tokenized it could be part of the vertical development and receive the new revenues coming from the development, or they can lease the land to the developer and they can let your lease payments they're getting right now, and then the new investors coming and getting access to the vertical production.
Land has always been one of the most dependable ways to build and protect wealth. And now Liquid Acre is bringing that timeliness stability into the modern digital era. Liquid Acre's mission is simple: make real estate investment accessible, opening opportunities that were once out of reach for most people. Liquid Acre introduces non-fungible acres, NFAs, digital representations of surveyed land recorded fully on chain. Each NFA is tied to real property and allows multiple participants to hold fractional exposure to the same asset. And this is not land that sit still. NFAs can include developed acreage with infrastructure such as waste-to-energy systems, solar, water improvements, and other enhancements that can increase the land's functional and economic value. Beyond that, Liquid Acre is building the world's first global crypto-to-land brokerage, creating a seamless path between fiat, crypto, and land, all through one unified platform. Their upcoming Liquid Acre marketplace will feature transparent asset views, dashboards, and performance tools, giving investors clarity and control over their land-linked digital positions. And as a major milestone, Liquid Acre is preparing for the Liquid Manzana TGE on January 30th, 2026, taking place in San Salvador, El Salvador, reinforcing its commitment to operating within forward-thinking and compliant regulatory frameworks. Finally, at the heart of it all, Liquid Acre is making a real-world difference, bringing improvements to various regions by enabling individuals to gain access to essential resources and a path to financial prosperity. This way, they're not just building another digital future, but creating a positive impact in the communities they serve and touch. If you believe in tokenization, real-world assets, and expanding access to wealth-building opportunities, then Liquid Acre is building exactly where we all want the world to head to. So stay up to date on Liquid Acre's marketplace launch, upcoming announcements, and industry developments. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the comments and descriptions below. Thanks for tuning in. Love you mucho.
Liquid Acre.
So what you're saying is Liquid Acre is potentially doing something that's very instrumental for this entire industry to become fully on-chain.
Absolutely, especially for emerging countries. Land is the basis for everything, and you can't manufacture it. So as the population grows, the land becomes more and more expensive. So we always look for areas where we can see growth. And the problem, like you go to West Africa, there's lots of potential because the population is huge, but you don't have that land ownership, that's there. So it's very risky to try to do projects there where you start working on it midway and somebody says, hey, stop your project. I own this land. You got to stop everything or you got to pay me. That's problem now is eliminated. And so you think about that concept in El Salvador, in Mexico, and all these developing countries, that just opens up the door for us to be able to finance more projects worldwide.
Before I let you go, Ed, one last thing. What excites you as outside of real estate, but involved with crypto?
I just think it's a way for the next gen, because, this current generation is controlled by the baby boomers, right? And they have theirs and they're very wealthy, but I think the next gen deserves to have an opportunity to diversify that wealth. And I think tokenization is going to do wonders for them because now, for them, those who can't afford to buy a house, think about it. They can now afford to buy chunks of commercial real estate that's paying income. 4, 5, 6 years of that, they'll be able to buy any kind of house they want. So I think the opportunities are endless. They don't have to just buy a house in the domestic area they live. They can buy a house anywhere in the world and use it part-time, rent it the other time. So I think the world is exciting when you start looking at what blockchain can do for it.
Oh, it's exciting, and for some it might be daunting because now they can't see beyond their own neighborhood. Like my own, sorry, mom and dad, but it's very. You also see that within the baby boomer community, and so this new world of globalized, tokenized, fully liquid, and fully on chain and always on 24/7, 365 is a paradigm shift.
Yeah, sorry, mom and dad. I mean, it may be that your sons and daughters may not even want your house where it's located. They might want to live someplace else.
Oh, I want their house.
Okay, well, good. Well, thank you, and this is great, and I look forward to work with guys like Juan and others here. That's why we're here, because Stellar has a very wide ecosystem of partners. And I'm finding a lot of these partners have a synergy with what we're doing. So
excellent.
I'm excited to meet a lot of people.
Well, Ed, I'm excited to share this interview to a global audience, and I appreciate you sharing your time with me today, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Have a great time at Stellar House Miami. What's going on, family and friends? We are here at the Stellar House Miami around Art Basel, and I've got the CMO of Stellar Development Foundation, Jason Karsh. How you doing today, sir?
Doing great. Great to be here.
It's great to be in the presence of greatness, such as you and your team. You guys killed it. You knocked it out of the park. The energy's out of the charts. The information is overload in a good way, and there's just so much to talk about. But this is about you. What are some takeaways from today's event that stuck out to you?
So we created Stellar House to have intimate settings, to have conversations about the ecosystem, about the technology, about the network with partners. And I think we knocked it out of the park in the sense that the conversations that have been had around me on the panels outside have just been really, I think, productive for everyone involved. We've talked about privacy. We've talked about tokenizing real estate. We've talked about moving money across borders, and we talked a lot about marketing. And I think we've shared knowledge on stages and had great conversations on the side. And I think that's altogether has been really great for us.
Yeah, it's been a rounded out, a very good experience, even for me coming from the marketing side of the camp, and for being the CMO. The topic of conversation on the aspect of storytelling. For me, I would love to hear from you, being the CMO of the Stellar Development Foundation. What do you think the story is right now, given that the landscape is, we're seeing the Clarity Act come into the fold, we just had the Genius Act, now that we're starting to see regulations be cemented or codified, what's the story?
I think the story from our perspective is very, very clear. We, for over 10 years now, have been building a technology that's meant to facilitate everyday financial services, cross-border payments, things that truly make a difference in people's lives. And I think the narrative kind of shifted to culture and to some interesting projects on the side, which is great for the technology, great for growth. But I think we're getting back with regulation and the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, to talking about how to make money work better, how to get digital versions of stable currencies in the hands of more people who didn't choose to grow up in a place where financial and fiscal policy has left them with difficulty saving money that just is being inflated away, / access to credit and savings and just very simple commerce and opportunity. And by building everyday financial services and by talking more about the ways that we can facilitate payments and facilitate stablecoins, I think we're heading in a really good direction that is impactful and not just about headlines. It's about trend lines and prosperity for humanity.
Yeah. Well, with, I believe, 15 billion operations, 8 million wallets globally. I mean, you guys are doing some big league numbers. What do you think 2026 is going to look like for you guys?
I think y'all haven't seen anything yet, in the sense that I think the moment is ripe. We have a lot of plans to help grow, to help the ecosystem grow, to help make sure that every part of the stack for these everyday financial services exists in certain markets, on certain platforms, with certain partners. And as we fill those gaps, you'll start to see the flywheel take effect, which is people can actually fully move their finances on chain. Developers can build the next PayPal or Venmo that's instantly global, that has access to assets that do more than just stay with your local currency. And I think we're going to see a ton of growth this year ahead.
You guys just announced your partnership with U.S. Bank, the 5th largest U.S. bank. Franklin Templeton, PayPal as well. Are there any other partnerships that are getting you excited?
Yeah, I think they'll be announced in their due course, and I think those are great examples. U.S. Bank is one of the top
You're
five.
not going to use my channel as I'm kidding.
Well, this is worth noting because U.S. Bank is one of the top five banks in the United States by assets under management, and they don't play around with every technology that comes around, and they're testing implementations on Stellar.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's big news. Banks don't move. They're like the Titanic. They have so many constraints regulatorily, keeping their customers safe. They have so much to think about that for them to change how they do their underlying infrastructure really takes a lot, and it takes time. And we're here for this is a multi-decade, multi-century process. This isn't trying to win next year and IPO.
Yeah.
This is about fundamentally re-architecting things onto open systems that provide more prosperity to all, that provide better payment solutions and just better services.
Yeah, I think that is a utopian world that we strive for. But to get there, I don't think people realize the turbulence as well that we will also fly through to get there as well. The movie that sticks out to me is the Big Short, and that's just for those who haven't watched it. That's a great movie that is very timely. But ultimately, Jason, this has been a wonderful experience for me. I'm very excited to be in the community, brushing elbows with the likes of those that are at the helm of Stellar. Where's Danelle Dixon at?
She's often on the road, on the internet, and I hope you'll see her at the next one.
I hope so too. Well, hey, last thing before I let you go, for those who want to learn more about XLM and Stellar, where's a good place for them to learn more?
Go to stellar.org or follow us on X at stellar.org or on LinkedIn or Reddit. We're around, and you can follow me as well, and we'd love to engage.
Excellent. I'll be sure to copy the links to all of Stellar's resources, and of course Jason's LinkedIn, so you guys can follow him and dive deep into all thought leadership that he's broadcasting to the world. Jason, thanks for sharing your time with me, and congrats to the success that you guys are all experiencing.
I appreciate it. Hope you have a great rest of your day and time in Miami.